Well, good morning, everybody. We are live and ready to go. I don't know where you live, but here in the Central Valley, we've had a nice rain since yesterday. And it's kind of early. It doesn't typically rain here this time of the year. And so it's been just a nice, relaxing last 24 hours or whatever it was. And so let me welcome you to our broadcast today. I want to talk about identifying the road to destruction. If you're driving your car down the freeway and there's a bridge out, there's going to be some identifications along the way. Stop, bridge out, road closed, turn around, whatever they do. Um, and there's a way to identify there's a problem ahead. Well, the Bible talks, and we're going to go to John 10:10, where it talks about, the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. The Bible gives us signs when we are on the road to destruction. It's pretty easy. Let's just go back to driving down the freeway. It's pretty easy to not drive off the cliff when there's a sign that says, stop, the bridge is out. All you have to do is heed the sign. If we can identify the road, identify the direction that is a precursor to destruction, we can avoid destruction. Now, I don't know about you, but I like avoiding destruction. I like avoiding hardships. I like avoiding things that don't work. And so I want to talk today about identifying the road to destruction. We've had more people join us now. Welcome everybody that's here. If you have your Bible, turn, if you would, to John 10:10, talking about the Gospel of John. And so we're gonna go from there. And so hang on a second here. Okay, and the other component is, if you're on the road to destruction and you read the sign, will you get off? Now, the common answer would be yes, of course I would get off. There's no way I would continue going. Blah 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 blah. I would definitely. But there's a lot of people in life that are doing things that are going to lead to destruction, but they don't stop. It's an amazing thing. So in John chapter 10, verse 10, it says, the thief cometh not, or there's only these reasons that the thief shows up, but for to steal, to kill, and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. And the one thing, it's not my point today, but I just want to make the point. A lot of people will take bad things and assign it to God. I've even heard some Christians, in referencing the Charlie Kirk situation, well, God did it. So that, there's a lot of movement now going on after his passing. God doesn't kill. People will say things like, a baby dies right after birth. Well, God wanted another angel in heaven. I hate to tell you, but people don't become angels, and God doesn't kill people to get them into heaven. If that were true, abortion would be a positive thing for God, because, hey, they never had to live in this hellish world and they just got to go to heaven. So God, Jesus said, I have come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. The devil, the thief, comes, steal, kill, and destroy. If you're losing something, whether it's your life, property, whatever, kill, steal, and destroy, it's the system of the devil. So you've got to understand here that man, you and me, are not sovereign. We are influenced by a greater source. Either we yield to God or we yield to Satan. And there's really no way. You and I are not sovereign. I mean, people just think that they're making the decisions of their life, and they forget this element that we're not sovereign. And so how does Satan achieve kill, steal, and destroy? Now, if Satan had the ability to kill, you and I'd be dead. He wouldn't let nobody live. He'd just kill them. If he was able to steal everything you have, you would never have anything, because he would make sure every time you got something, it'd be stolen. If he could actively destroy your life, there would nobody be living successful or in the power of God, because he would destroy every element going there. So now, how does he, but he does show up to kill, steal, and destroy. How does he do it? Well, he does it by influence. He does it by getting us to get wrapped up in distractions. He causes us through to chase our wants instead of wanting what God wants. He works in the construction of thoughts. A lot of people have a doctrine that will facilitate kill, steal, and destroy. Well, God doesn't always heal. Now I have a doctrine that says that God is not a giver of life. Well, I'm poor, been always poor. It's just our plot in life. But praise God, one day I'll be rich in heaven. I don't know how you can come to that conclusion. There's a construction of thought that the enemy uses to get us into kill, steal, and destroy. If he can get you to think it's okay to drink while you drive, he can get you to kill yourself or kill somebody else in getting in a wreck. If he can make it so important that you need to read get on your phone while you're driving and read an email while you're going down the freeway and everything, then he can get you so distracted that you get in a wreck and kill somebody or yourself or your family member. If he can get you to put your makeup on while you're driving and you're like, seen it happen. He can get you distracted and doing something that can kill you or kill somebody else. See, he has the Bible is true, but he doesn't have absolute authority to do that. And so he works in the realm of getting you and me to take thoughts that will lead us down the path. Now, the Bible tells us about the path. It instructs us on what the path looks like. There's signs given. Hey, you're going toward destruction. You're traveling toward death. You're doing these things wrong, and we need to do it. So I want to look at a man by the name of Demas. Now, go if you would over to Colossians. To me, Demas is one of the most amazing people in the Bible when it comes to stupidity. And because Demas knew and hung out with the Apostle Paul and others. Now, the others would be a really phenomenal thing to me, but the Apostle Paul, I just think that'd really be cool. Who's your favorite modern day? Whether they're alive or dead. Come on, hanging around with Smith Wigglesworth, that would have been cool. Having him as, oh yeah, I can give him a call. Hey, Brother Wigglesworth, I got a question I want to ask you. Wouldn't that be nice? He's in heaven now, but when he was on the face of the earth, hey, Dad Hagen, he would be cool. Demas could do that. So now in Colossians chapter 4, verse 14, it says, he's talking about, for I bear him record, this is verse 13, for I bear him record that he hath a great zeal for you and them that are in Laodicea and everybody. Luke, the beloved physician, and Demas greet you. Okay, Paul writing to the Colossians. He's got Luke and Demas. Demas is hanging out with Luke and the Apostle Paul. How cool is that? Go back to the book of Luke, who had perfect understanding of all these things that Jesus did among people. How cool is that? What about, jump over to the book of Philemon. There's one chapter in Philemon, and we're going to read verse 24. Marcus, Aristarchus, Demas, Lucas, my fellow laborers. So when Paul's writing to Philemon, and he's talking about the people that travel with me, the fellow laborers that we're doing this together, Demas is amongst them. Man, I don't know about you, but I think that's cool. So let's go over to Timothy and see how cool is destroyed. Demas is, he's set to go. I just don't know what to say about it. Demas has what it takes. Demas has front seat. And then it says in 2 Timothy, I'm in 1 Timothy, so hang on a second here. 2 Timothy chapter 4. Now, I haven't got to the roads yet, but I wanted to tell you, don't think that you're so right that you can't get on the road to destruction, because Demas was around the right, kind of like Judas Iscariot. I mean, he walked with Jesus. How can you be so stupid? How can deception move you so much? 4:14. Alexander, 2 Timothy 4:10. Only Luke is with me. Now remember, he said our fellow laborers, Luke and Demas. Now only Luke is with me. Take Mark and bring him with thee. Oh, I'm on verse 11. Go back to where's verse 10? Oh, there it is. For Demas in me, having loved this present world, and is departed unto Thessalonica. There came a point when Demas was walking with the Apostle Paul. I can't. It just baffles me. I'm a lover of the writings of the Apostle Paul. The things that, I was talking to a man one time. Don't know if it was an angel or a person. I mean, how many times did he talk to angels? One time I went to the third heaven. I heard words that I cannot utter. Man, how does that work? Then he's sitting, bit by a snake, shakes it off, keeps preaching. I'm betwixt two, whether to go home, whether to stay here with you. To go home is better for me. To stay here with you is better for you. He died by his head getting cut off. He controlled Nero from pulling off the execution order. And Demas, at some point, because of love for the world, makes the decision, I'm going that way. I'm abandoning ship. What did he love? I don't get it. I've really come to a place, man, I can't wait till this is all over and we're in heaven. There's nothing here I'm wanting to stick around for. There's one thing I want to stick around for, to finish my course. Outside of that, there's nothing that has any permanent value in it. Nothing. And so Demas saw something, and he loved it. So there was I want that. Man, look how they're living. Look what they get to do. Yeah, I'm over here stuck in this cycle of seeing people healed, seeing people delivered, hearing depths of the word of knowledge that goes beyond my thinking. Man, I want that. How does that work? It does work because it happens with a lot of people. And Demas walked down the road to destruction. So there had to be within him a self factor, a want factor within himself that caused him to want something that had no eternal value after hearing the words of eternal value. How do we do it? What was it? The fact that maybe he was working 24/7 in ministry? Man, they get to go on vacation. They get to go have fun. Seems like I'm always working. Really? Was that it? We value doing nothing so much? No, I've often said that the ministry costs a lot of money. I've often said to my pastor cost a lot of money. Maybe it's like, I could be spending this money kind of like the modern people. Tithing is Old Testament. I could buy things I want with that money that God called holy. How do we get on the road to destruction? Self-importance has to become what's in it for me. What am I experiencing? You know what? In this walk with God, it really seems like it's all about giving. I give of my time. I give of my effort. I'm sowing into other people's lives. What's in it for me? And we miss the big picture. I've often thought about, you're getting on an airplane. Actually, I thought about this in the context of 9/11. because we know there's many testimonies where people were in the trade towers or whatnot, and God told them go down and get a coffee, or they're on their way to theirs, pull over here and get a donut. And there's all kinds of different things where God was dealing with people. Don't be there, and they were saved. They were given the testimony. But we don't hear any testimonies from the people in the airplanes. Well, there's an obvious reason, because they're all dead. They can't give their testimony. But I wonder how many people, how many of them, God said, don't get on this airplane. They had an unction to not get on the airplane. There's something not right about this. I'm not going to get on this plane. But they didn't do it because, man, if I don't get on this plane, I paid $1,000 for this ticket, $800, $500. What did they give their life for? $500, $800, $1,000, $1,500, depending on where they're going. I wonder what would happen modern if you're getting on a plane, you spent big money. Prices of tickets are a lot more expensive than they were back in 2001. But God says, don't do this. Don't get on this plane. I wonder how many people would justify it because of how much they paid. They would lose the cost of the ticket if they didn't get on. They've got a meeting at the other end, and the path of destruction was before them, but they couldn't read the sign. You know, the Bible talks about the day of evil increasing, that evil will increase as we see the day approaching. And so we're living in a time that we need to really be careful. I want to read a verse out of the ESV version that goes along with this. No, that's not it. Hang on a second. ESV. We're going to go over to Proverbs 18. Proverbs 18:1, and I'm going to read it out of the ESV. Whoever isolates himself seeks his own desire. You know, this is a great verse on why you should be involved in a church, why your purpose should be bigger than who you are. Because once you start isolating yourself, do you know that person that's an extreme introvert? They pull back. Do you understand that they're seeking their own desire? I am inclined to be an introvert. I'm inclined to not be in a public setting. My personality is that way. I have to fight it. But do you know what would cause me to not fight it? Seeking my own desire. I'm more comfortable by myself. That feeling of going to, watch this, he breaks out against all sound judgment. When you are your own person, when you find yourself isolated from others, you will start, the more isolated. This is a problem with pastors that are not submitted to somebody, that they have the mentality that the buck stops here. They've isolated themselves and they think that they rely on their own thinking and think that their own thinking is correct. In the multitude, in the presence of a multitude of counselors, wisdom is found. That's Bible if you don't know that. And so the verse here talks about if we isolate ourselves, if we pull back, we're starting down a path of destruction. Now, one of the identifying factors is you're relying on your own thinking. I see this in the church and people that come to church, but they have no pastor. There's people that call me pastor, but I'm not their pastor. They're just falling in line with everybody else. I had a person ask me just the other day, what am I supposed to call you? I said, I'm not hung up on titles. Call me whatever you want. If you say, hey, you, I'll respond. I said, it's for you and what you're wanting out of me that's going to matter. And so, it's in this realm of what we desire, what we hold in honor, we receive from. If you see me as David, cool. I don't have a problem with that. David's not a dummy. You can ask David, and he's actually helped a lot of people through his wisdom and knowledge. It's not the best help you can get. I told somebody the other day to do something, and they had a problem. And I said, well, you need to do this. And then they came up with like 3 immediate excuses of why it couldn't happen. That's fine. Just let it drop. They believe their excuses. Had another person that I was talking to not too long ago, and they call me pastor, but they ain't listening to a thing I say. They're going to walk through some things that I believe that they're going to regret doing what they said they're going to do, but they never asked. I remember a guy, he's dead now. Hopefully he's in heaven. I believe he is, but you never know what, the outcome of people's lives are. And he says, we've been talking about moving to another state for a long time. You've never given me your opinion. And I said, you've never asked. And he said, well, okay, fair enough. But I can tell you what happened is that his wife battled money in the beginning. They had a very difficult trip in moving, got stranded several days, just hardship after hardship. He had a job waiting for him. He worked one day on the job and quit because he couldn't handle it physically. Unemployed for a period of time, took little jobs just to get some income flowing in, battled money. They're both dead now. They died prematurely. Granddaughter got pregnant in high school. Daughter got divorced. I mean, there was just, and I guarantee you they've never looked back and put it all together and said, maybe we shouldn't have done that decision. They couldn't see, they couldn't read the signs of the road of where they were going, and they sought no counsel. So in this, Demas had to come to a place where he thought, using Proverbs, he started drawing away from Paul. And in the drawing away from Paul, he put more importance on his own thinking. It's dangerous. It's dangerous because when we live within the own confines, the restrictions, the limitations that we've self-imposed upon ourselves, our interpretations of the Bible that may be out of correct, and we have no one to correct us on this, or there's no other iron to sharpen ourselves with, we're actually entering the path of destruction. That's why God set up a system that's so good. He gave some apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, some pastors and teachers. He didn't give somebody none. But there's many people who are reliant upon their own confidence of walking with God, that they don't care what the gift in their life is saying. They've isolated themselves, like what we read here. Let me go back. Let me just read it out of Proverbs 18:1. Is that where I was at? Proverbs 18:1, I think it was. Let me read it out of the Amplified. He who willfully separates and estranges himself from God and man seeks his own desire and pretext to break out against all wise and sound judgment. Now, wise and sound judgment, you're now walking down a path that's going to lead to destruction. We're going to look at some other verses here on how it works, but it all ties into the same thing. We are supposed to, according to Paul writing to Timothy, study to show ourselves approved. I can take you to a person who studies a lot, but they can't show themselves approved because their understanding is not at Bible level, and they bring the Bible into their understanding and they misinterpret everything. They actually fulfill the Proverbs 18 verse, is because other people say things that disagrees with how they think, they reject what other people say. And the other people is pretty much everybody. So they're in a cycle of trusting in their own thoughts, but they're on a road to destruction because they've isolated themselves. It's not going to work out. I told them, it's not going to work out. The way you're going, you're making decisions over and over again. It's not going to work out. He who willfully separates himself. How do we willfully separate ourselves? We lean to our own understanding. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. Where we can find the word of God and we compare it to what we want, we have to not lean to our understanding, but trust in what God says. Now, what will that be? Sometimes it'll be God speaking to us directly. Sometimes it'll be God speaking through a gift in our life. Sometimes it'll be God speaking through a friend, somebody in our lives that's spiritual and that we can talk to. Sometimes it'll It'll be just directly with the word of God. Hey, this book, this chapter, this verse. Don't do that. But there's this thing about man that we're comfortable in how we think. And if we're not careful, we can easily get on the path to destruction. And there's many people in the thing with me that just baffles me, even of myself. When we find things that aren't working, but we like them, even though they're not working and we can see they're not working, we still stay on it because we like them. The power of like, the power of want is such a powerful force that it will supersede the power of God. Say, oh, no, that's not possible. It's in the Bible. Jesus could do no mighty work because of their unbelief. And so their unbelief stopped the power of God working through Jesus. And the unbelief was, is this not the carpenter? Is this not, don't we know his brothers and his sisters? Don't we know his mom and dad? How they marveled at his words and the works that he did, but he could do no mighty works there because they naturalized him. They couldn't make it make sense in their brain. And everybody, I'm looking at a world right now where people have been hurt from their past. And I'm not denying the hurts. The hurts were real. Maybe hurt by a parent, maybe hurt by a circumstance in life. Get over it. Well, I'm trying to get over it. I just can't. Well, the reason why you can't is because you keep thinking about it. You keep researching it. You keep asking Google what he thinks about it. You keep, just people want to live in their emotions. People want to live in their feelings, and it takes them down the road to destruction. Now, let's look at some very specific things about this road to destruction. Let's start off here, and we're in Proverbs, so let's stay in Proverbs and go to chapter 16. Proverbs chapter 16. Hope you're on our reading assignment of reading the book of Proverbs and 5 Psalms a day. I want to do this till the end of the year. You say, man, I'm going to read through these books 4 times. Yeah, it'd be really good for you. Proverbs 16. Where am I at? Proverbs 16:18. Pride before destruction. Translation. In fact, let me just read it out of the Amplified. 18. Pride goes before destruction. Oh, it says it the same way. What's it saying? Before you find yourself in destruction, you will find yourself in pride. Now that ties into 18:1, ESV, Amplified. Let me turn the page here if I can get the page turned. He who willfully separates and estranges himself from God and man seeks his own desire and pretext to break out against all wisdom. So when you seek your own desire, you're going to go against all wisdom and counsel. Pride goes before destruction. The road to destruction is identified as pride. Pride is exaltation, be used in various forms. But when we're dealing with a person in pride, it's a person that has exalted them to godhood. Now they're not thinking of it in terms of godhood, but they've exalted themselves to a place where they can make their own decisions without counsel. Yeah, I'm just looking at you. There's a lot of people like this. They have people in their lives telling you, you've got to stop this. You've got to get help. You've got to change the way you're doing this. You've got to handle this differently. You've got people in their life doing that, but they won't listen. It's pride. You're going to walk into destruction. Many people, I bet you every single drug addict that's overdosed and died had numerous times where people telling you have to stop doing this. I bet you every single alcoholic who died of cirrhosis of the liver has had people telling them, you've got to get off this wagon. You've got to get free. Let us help you. I bet you every gang member had a family member saying, you've got to get out of this. The things that you're doing, you're going to end up dead or in jail. They had counsel. They had people want, but pride, don't talk to me. I know what I'm doing. Shut up. I don't want to listen to this. It's pride. It's exaltation. I've reached a point in my life that I can make the decisions of my life. Shut up. I don't want to listen to you. Thus, I'm also not going to listen to God, because God's going to send people who's going to try to help me, and I'm not going to listen to them either. You're going to find pride before you find destruction. Where am I at? 16:18. Let me read the rest of it. Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before the fall. Now, what does haughty mean? Haughty means, let me read it. I took the 1828 dictionary. Here's what the 1828 Webster Dictionary says about haughty. Proud and disdainful, having a high opinion of oneself with some contempt for others, lofty and arrogant, supercilious, proceeding from excessive pride or pride mingled with contempt, manifesting pride and disdain as a haughty air or walk, proud and imperious as a haughty nation, loftily bold or of high hazard as a haughty enterprise. So here we read that you're going to find pride. You've exalted yourself, and there's going to be an attitude that is birthed out of a spirit, which is a demonic spirit, a haughty spirit before a fall. You're going to see this before you end up in prison, before you end up dead, before you end up addicted, before you end up whatever. Put the ending on the story on it. You're going to see yourself. You're going to see pride and haughtiness before you ever walk in that. So now we know the warning signs of before destruction. I am going to find myself in a separating mode where I'm going to start listening to my thinking. That's the exaltation of pride and haughtiness and taking on a haughty spirit. I'm going to isolate myself so people can't talk to me, so that I can go the path of how I think, how I want, of what I think is going to happen. And the Bible clearly tells us that that's where destruction comes. Now, we don't find the end of the story of Demas, but I guarantee you this is what happened. He started looking at things he wanted, and in the looking at things he wanted, he started moving over to a realm of his own thinking of how he wanted it, and it caused him to leave what he was so privileged to have been given. Let's go to Proverbs 18. We're not going to look at one this time. We're going to look at another one. Proverbs 18 and 12. We're going to see the haughtiness again. Oh, I'm in 19. 18 and 12. Before destruction, the heart of a man is haughty. Before you ever get to the point of destruction, you've lifted yourself and yielded yourself to that spirit that you know it all. You're not going to listen to your pastor. You're not going to listen to your parents. You're not going to listen to good counsel from good friends. You're not going to listen to anybody. You're fully committed to walk in destruction because you know it's not going to happen to you. Before destruction, the heart of a man is haughty, and before honor is humility. Humility being the opposite of pride and haughtiness. Before you're ever going to be honored, before God's ever going to promote you, before you're ever going to walk in the goodness of God, humility is going to be found. Now, humility is not weakness. Humility is not pride. You know you don't know it all. You know. That's why, it's interesting. The lower you go on the success and economic scale of life, the more opinionated people are. The higher you go with successful people, financially strong people, the more they'll listen to other ideas. Why? Because they know they don't know everything. Now, you're going to find some characteristics in them of leadership qualities, of making decisions based on the information, and they may look like they're not listening, but they will listen to ideas and evaluate it in their thinking process and then go forward with how they think, but they will listen to counsel. And the lower you go, they're not going to listen. They know it all. They know what should happen. We ran a recovery home, and I can't tell you, probably 80, 90, 100% of everyone that came in would try to tell us what they needed. Well, if you knew what you needed, you wouldn't be coming to our house and you wouldn't be an addict. People go to church and they know what they need. No, if you're going to a church, you're looking for something that you don't have. Better get in the right church. Well, I just need good music. Maybe not. Maybe you need good preaching. Maybe you need just a good whipping. I don't know. So let's close out with, oh my goodness, I've only gone a half hour. Usually time flies. I only got one more verse. So we're going to go early today, but go over to 1 John. Down toward the end of the Bible. Now, this is going to sum it all up. 1 John chapter 2. All right, 1 John chapter 2, verse 16. For all that is in the world. Now, say all. All. What is all? All. All that is in the world. The lust of the flesh. Your flesh wants things. The world is set up to give you a high, and I don't just mean that drugs, a high in your physical being. Whether it's, in a movie with all the hyper, what do they call it? They can just do phenomenal things in theater now, to keep your senses high, keep it going, fast cars, spaceships, blowing things up. I mean, it'll give you a high. It makes you want to go see the movie. The lust of the flesh. People will chase addictive things because it'll give you a high. People chase sex because it'll give you a high. People chase, like, academic style type people will chase education. I mean, some people think that'd never give you a high, but to somebody who's academically inclined, there are, can't wrap my mind around this, there are professional students. They never make anything out of their life. They just constantly get more educated. All that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes. The lust of the eyes is what was a triggering factor for Demas. He saw what was in the world and he wanted it. I had a person talking to me one time about all the shiny things of the world. I'm thinking, what's shiny out there? But to them, it was shiny. They wanted it. They struggled in their Christianity because they wanted the shiny things. It was amazing. The lust of the eyes and the pride of life. Now, we talked about pride. Pride leads to destruction, or pride is the precursor to destruction. Is my life on this earth matters. I'm going to live it to the fullest. Your life on this earth is a training ground for your eternity. You're in school. I hate to tell you, but you are in school. Contrary to what I just said about professional students, your life on this earth is a precursor to your eternity. Verse 17, the world passes away. If you chase the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, if you chase that, it's going to pass away. Another one that just pops up in my mind is control freaks. There's a lot of people who are control freaks. That's a lust. That's a desire to control things. It falls into the same thing here. It's going to pass away. It's not of God. There's many things that people do that fall into these lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. They all operate within this worldly system, and this worldly system is passing away. But he that does the will of God will abide forever. So now we come back to, and the turning point in all of this is, can I do the will of God? The will of God is his word. He says, heaven and earth will pass away, but not my word. My word shall stand forever, which is Old Testament, New Testament. Old Testament is just as live today. It just comes through the cross and has either been satisfied like blood offerings, been altered like worship. We now worship in spirit and in truth, or is hasn't changed at all, the tithe. And so we've got to walk in this thing with God. There are road signs to whether we're walking down the road to the path of destruction or we're walking into the will of God. And if we don't walk right, we are going to get the end of the road. I want to encourage you, get your life right with God. Get set up with God so that everything that you do is in line with God, that he can bless you, that you walk in the blessing and the power of God, that you can live free from all this nonsense. Hey, if you're out there and you're anywhere near Visalia, Tulare County, something like that, we invite you to Covenant Peace International West Coast, where we're empowering families, transforming communities, and equipping people with God's hope. We want to help you have a better life and to see the power of God manifest. We're at 345 East Tulare Avenue in Visalia, California, at the corner of Tulare and Santa Fe, in the old olive plant building right in the front. Sunday at 10, Wednesdays at 7. This Wednesday, Wednesday coming, we're going to have church in the park at Blaine Park. We invite you out there. Just going to be barbecue and fellowship and maybe a exhorting word or something like that. But that's going to be at 6 o'clock. We invite you to that. But hopefully we'll see you soon. God bless you. Don't be of those that forsake the assembling of yourselves together. Be in church this Sunday and let God be God in your life. God bless you.